I always show up and show out whenever I show up anywhere. If we understand how to deal and manage and monitor our emotions, so much of what we do will become better. That's how you make those great changes, because young people are so powerful. It's a tough industry, you know. You're here today, gone tomorrow, and if you don't have other things in the pipeline, you'll be stuck.
You tell the truth.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hey, how are you?
I love that energy first thing in the morning. How are you?
Yes, indeed. Morning is my time.
I love it. So this is Judge Lynn. If you don't know Judge Lynn, she's the host of the Divorce Court. She's also really passionate about preventing domestic violence. She has an organization called bloom365.org and just came out with her, is it your first book?
My third.
Her third book. It's on Amazon, came out in October. Letters to her daughter that she would share. She's got 6 sons and wanted to send letters to the daughter that she never had.
Right.
Judge Lynn, welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so lovely to meet you, even if it's across the border, which you couldn't cross.
Yes.
So sorry about that.
That was some fun times. Border Patrol 2020 is an interesting place to be.
I imagine.
There's so many things that I could dive into on your story, so I'm trying to pick kind of where to start. What do you think is the through line between what you do? So you've got Divorce Court. You're what I love about it is you're also giving advice. You're actually trying to save families. You're trying to help people through the show, but you've also got Bloom. You've also got the book. What's the through line for you for all of the work that you do?
The through line for me, I think, is one that is really unrecognized by myself, because I've always called myself an accidental overachiever that's never accomplished anything she set out to do. I was supposed to be a doctor. That's what I always wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And through a series of lateral steps, I just ended up here. I never intended to be a judge. I never intended to be on television. But my through line is I always show up and show out whenever I show up anywhere. And then once I do that, I see what touches my heart and I play that note.
And for people who are watching your show or buying the book or trying to get involved in your organization, what do you want them to feel, or what's the message that you have if they're hanging around with Judge Lynn?
Okay. What I want them to feel is the best question I think I've ever been asked, because it's all about feeling. What you know doesn't matter if you don't feel in a way that allows you to do something about it. Anger, upset, fear, frustration. We tend to be running on buckets of it of late. My very first book was about my mother, who was an incredible emotional manager. And if you get nothing else from me, I want you to be able to understand, recognize, and control your own emotional life. If we were all able to do that in a more effective manner, we would all be able to deal with each other in a more effective, less costly, less dangerous, less lethal manner.
So, behind me, this is a picture of me when I'm 8 or 9 years old, and that's my mom.
Okay.
That's my mom as well, standing over. So we both love our moms.
Right?
What are some of the lessons you think people need to, from your mom, what are 2 or 3 of the biggest lessons that people need to understand?
One of them is you have to be able to understand how other people feel. Everybody is always so centered on, this is what I need and this is what I want. I would be more able to get something I want from you if I understand how you feel. Because if I understand how you feel, I can give you what you need while figuring out a way to get what I want. A lot of people want to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and they don't want to listen. I would also ask people to beware of your emotional life. Sometimes, like, your boss will make you angry. You angry on the way home, and then you yell at your wife. You got to know where the mad is supposed to go. We have a lot of displaced anger these days. And from Bloom 365, what we do is we go into high schools and middle schools and teach young people how to have healthy relationships. So it stops bullying. It doesn't stop. It helps prevent bullying. It helps prevent domestic violence. And I'll tell you, in one school, we were doing our program. We stayed there for a week. And we require them to write what's called elephant in room cards. We don't care. You can write screw you to the moon and back on it. But you have to write something on it and send it back. And one guy wrote, I'm going to kill that guy and everybody who didn't believe that guy did what he did to me. Wow. We found that young man and we got him plugged into help. Young people are screaming out there from being bullied, from feeling less than. And now that the mass shooting thing is in the air, in the gestalt, it's in our society, that's what people who feel powerless default to. If we understand how to deal and manage and monitor our emotions, so much of what we do will become better.
And is your passion really diving down into the youth?
Yes, because that's where the greatest gains can be made. If we raise a generation that does not bully, if we raise a generation that does know unhealthy relationship, domestic violence is an epidemic. We don't see it until it becomes lightning and crazy and when someone actually dies, but it is an epidemic. And even politically, we have become emotional and childlike. You can disagree with me, but I don't have to call you a name. I don't have to cancel you. I don't have to wish you to die. And to the extent that we have allowed our emotions to carry away with us, we have created a society more difficult to monitor. If we get to the children, smoking, 1960s, they were teaching it in the school, you can't smoke. And I made my daddy stop, who was smoking since 1940. That's where the greatest gains can happen.
It's funny. My dad was a smoker too, and it's my older sister that made him stop.
Yeah, and it's just like, put it down, Daddy, put it down. He used to smoke Pound Miles with no filter. I mean, boyfriend was going for it, but that's how you make those great changes, because young people are so powerful.
And why domestic violence as the thing that you're staking your flag in the ground for?
When I was a municipal court judge, I saw about 400 domestic violence cases every year. And I saw it in good home, in socially, economically well-off homes, in homes where there was struggle, in religious homes, in non-religious homes. It was a constant theme of power and control, and women were just screaming about with their lack of sense of value. And I thought, if 1/4 of our homes are built on this pressure and distress, what are we doing to our kids? And I just thought it was just so prevalent and somebody had to care. So I decided to do that.
I love it. Now, a lot of the people who watch on my channel, they're entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs struggle a lot with managing their emotions, with keeping relationships. What advice would you give to them?
My advice would go back to understand who you're talking to. Understand who you're dealing with, because you know what your goal is, you know what you want, and we very rarely spend. But if I want to sell you something, if I know what your needs are, if I know how you feel, if I know what you're afraid of, I know what you want, I'm better able to do so. So don't be so you know how you feel, you know what you want. Then you got to go into straight business mode and not get emotionally derailed by what may occur.
What's your strategy for how to deal with anger and emotions, whether you're going in and teaching kids or dealing with somebody who's older? If that's one of the most important lessons from your mom, how do we actually manage our emotions better?
We do by taking it on as a field of study in and of itself. We learn math, we learn arithmetic. We don't say, I need to learn how to manage emotions. I have a plan for first you have to know how you feel. You have to understand when anger comes on you. You have to understand, well, what is my nature? I am naturally fearful. I am naturally introverted. I am naturally a loner and not gregarious. Now, clearly, I have those things because of what I do. But if I didn't know they were there, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. So you got to know where you are. You got to know where your head is, where your emotions are. And then you have to pick one. I picked my fear of traveling, and I worked it like a job. I would do, when I first started divorce court, I was living in Cleveland. In order to get on that plane, I had to have 2 Valium and 2 Jack Daniels. And I would just wobble on the flight pass out.
Hmm.
And I realized I could become a drunk. and, so one Valium went, next Valium went, one Jack went, second Jack went. It was a job. And I worked that like a Jack. Instead of saying, I'm afraid to fly, this is what I have to do it. I said, I'm afraid to fly. I have to do something about that.
Hmm. And what do you think the biggest challenge was for you? Because people look at your show, people hear you speak, not many people would think that's a fearful woman who's introverted and not gregarious, and right? So to build the woman that you are now, you built her.
Yes.
What was the biggest challenge you had to overcome to change your identity and build this new woman?
The biggest challenge I had to campaign to become judge, like a politician.
Okay.
And for a person who doesn't like to meet new people, I belong to no organizations, no club. I got like one friend. I had to go door to door and introduce myself to people I didn't know and who didn't want to be bothered with me.
Right.
Every day.
Right.
So I made it a game. I do X number of doors. I get X number of Oreo cookies because I love Oreo cookies.
Okay.
Or I would play another game on another day. I'm going to predict the response that I get at the door. And then there was another reward at the end of the day for that. It all became a game. And after a while, by the time the election was there, I could go up to a door and it didn't bother me because my brain was engaged in other things other than worrying about what Joe Blow was going to say to me.
And what was the why that made you push through to even go off and do that? Like, why care so much? Yeah.
Why care about?
Like, why even try to go and become a lot of people who are in your situation would say, well, I could never be a judge. I'm not going to go campaigning. I'm not going to door to door. I'm introverted. I don't want to meet people. I have anxiety going up and knocking on doors. Like, what drove you to say, I have to go off and do this?
It's not going to be an answer you like.
Okay.
I'll tell you that right now. I married a man with 4 kids. I had another one. I was at a large law firm, the first Black woman they ever had. And 10 years in, they looked at me and said, we like what you do at trial, but you're not bringing any clients in, so we don't think you're going to make it here. I was 33.
Wow. And
I had a brand new baby, not brand new, he was like 8 months old. And the guy down the hall was into politics, and he liked me, and he liked the idea of having more color in the judiciary because it was pretty much white. Mm-hmm. And he said, I think you would be a great judge. I want you to go and try to get this appointment that's open. I didn't get the appointment, but when the municipal judge in my area retired, he said, you should run. And I said, okay, Matt, because I thought, I wasn't going anywhere here, so let me do something else. I was tired. Judges set their own docket. The courthouse was 6 blocks from my house. A lot of it was personal. That's why nobody likes the answer.
No, listen, I think of all the things that I love and respect the most about you is you tell the truth.
Yeah. I talk too much not to, because I'll never remember the lies I tell.
Now, in watching over, your videos and in speaking to you, you'll have these moments where like you get into a rhythm and you're saying things in threes and it just starts to flow through you, and it's really wild and amazing to watch. Was that just does that just naturally come out? Did you do training? Are you thinking about it? Like how does that, when you're summoning, Judge Lynn to come out there and do her thing? How was that created?
That was natural.
Okay.
That was a natural ability. When I got on the bench, I won my judge seat by 1 vote on election night, 6 votes overall. And when I ran for re-election, I won by 80% of the vote. Wow. And I have a natural facility to speak. I think there's a lot of reasons why I might. But I've always had a natural facility to speak. And as long as I continue to read daily, because that just lets words and melodies and rhythms and syntax lay in your head, and I become passionate about something, I can pull on that without thinking. And when I get in a rhythm, I go. That is one thing that is natural to me.
Talking about role models growing up, role models through your career, even maybe role models now, who influences you, who makes you be a better woman?
It's my mother and my father. I mean, they were two of the most extraordinary people I've ever met. My mother was an emotional genius. I wrote a whole book about her. She was able to handle. My father was bipolar. He was born in 1919, a black man, in 5'2" tall, in West Virginia. He used to work 2 weeks in the coal mines and go 2 weeks to college. 2 weeks in the coal mines because he was responsible for feeding his family since he was 13. That man died with a trust fund. And he paid for my Harvard education, University of Pennsylvania, Dartmouth for my sister, medical school for my sister, out of his back pocket. Now, a black man from 1919 managing that. I mean, my God, he was never late. He was like, if you go, you go. There was no, you couldn't put half your ass in. You got to put your whole ass in. That's how daddy was. And mother was very good at managing him. He was bipolar. So she was a very good emotional manager. And they were an unlikely pair that made an extraordinary couple that they were both born in abject poverty. I'm a judge on TV, and my sister, who has a real job, is a neurologist. Bang. Great parents.
Is the next book about your dad?
I want it to be. I really, really do. But I know so little about him because he was very, very unwilling to speak of himself, and all of his family's gone. So it should be, though, because I'm crazy about him.
I mean, I could tell. It's amazing. Yeah. So, lessons from afar, then, from your father, what would you say?
When there are a lot of things that you can't control, take all the control you can about the things that you can control. He couldn't make a white law firm take him, but he was always the most prepared when he came to court. He couldn't, he was never late. The first advice he always gave me as a lawyer was never let him catch you on a tech. Go those deep, don't let him tech you out, the 30 days and all that kind of stuff. Be on top of that. I mean, he was driven all day, every day. He took one vacation in the 36 years that I knew him. And he worked on Friday. I remember he took me one Christmas. He took me into his office and made me call people on Christmas Day for business. And I would call. I said, I am so sorry, Mr. Man. I didn't mean to call. He said, listen, honey, I know your father. He's always trying to make money. What does he want? It's just, he didn't believe in the word no. He just didn't believe in it.
And was your inspiration to become a lawyer because of him?
No, he wanted me to be a physician. He was mad when I became a lawyer.
Okay.
He was like, he wanted me and my sister to become doctors. My sister became a doctor. I fooled around too much in college to do all of that. And I said, Daddy, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, you better find something to do because I'm going to stop paying your bills if you don't go to graduate school. And I said, okay, I'll go to law school. I mean, it was not, I don't have that set a goal long-term thing. I kind of set a goal and then I watched my periphery to see what would be best that I hadn't thought about yet, because my job on TV was the periphery. It was not at all the goal. Right.
And it's been awesome watching your entire kind of career blossom or bloom, to your word. What's on the periphery now?
Lots of other things. I have an episodic going on that I wrote, a script that I am pitching. I got a podcast that's about to start. I've started on my next book. And that's about, and I'm on Marriage Boot Camp for WeTV, pitching a show with some people that you would know, but I don't want to say their names. So someone asked me, how many jobs do you need? And I said, all that I can get. Because it's a tough industry, You're here today, gone tomorrow. And if you don't have other things in the pipeline, you'll be stuck.
And how are you transitioning your message? So, I mean, you're doing it on Instagram, you're posting your content, you've got the shows on YouTube. I see that's what you're, linking up in your accounts to. How are you transitioning the message from mainstream TV to social media and reaching down into the younger generation?
I don't think I'm doing a very good job of it, to tell you the truth. I
Okay.
am trying. I have a son that's 27 that is interested in this kind of things. And he's kind of, actually, I have two sons that are trying to help me with my Instagram and YouTube because it doesn't come naturally to me. And, I'm 60. So that is foreign to me.
Okay.
So I am taking the advice of people that are younger than me. I want to be able to reach young people, but I don't want to be inauthentic. And that's a difficult thing for me to do because of what really sell. I don't want to do no techno nasty. I'm not going to dig on people. I'm not going to cancel anybody. I'm not going to drag anybody. And a lot of that gets easy retweets, but I can't do that.
Yeah, I just think, with the mission of Bloom 365, you want to go in the kids. The mission almost demands it.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. Demands it. And my personality demands it as well, because I can't stand all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like, why are you making people, what? We all just trying to get along here. We all just trying to live. There's no need for me to hurt you unnecessarily. It's like contradictory to my persona.
Yeah, I mean, I know you said your word of being inauthentic. I don't think there's a bone in your body that could, stand up and be inauthentic in any environment.
No, there is. And my husband's always laughing at me. Says, just don't lie, baby. Don't play poker. Do none of that stuff. Just go with what you got, because you don't have any options.
I see you as kind of going into a giant darkness and just spreading light. I
try. I really do. I really, really do. And if I can't do anything else, I try to make people laugh, because that's just that's an opiate for the soul that doesn't make anybody else rich, and it doesn't addict you.
Yeah. Well, I could definitely see a lot of value, whether it's Instagram lives like this or creating more content on Instagram, even just pulling out your phone and making Instagram is meant to be authentic. It's meant to be real. It's meant to be, I think it's just the perfect platform designed for you. To get your message out there.
Yeah, and I just have to be more confident in my ability to do that, and make sure that I understand when to do it and how to do it. And it's just a matter of trial and error. And I'm never tired of trying. So
I love it. Well, I'm excited to see where all of this goes for you. And if I can be of any help, technology-wise, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, I want to see your message blow up, because I think it's really important.
Oh, thank you so much, and I enjoy you as well. I didn't know you until you dropped in my DMs, and then I was like, oh, look at this dude. It was cool. It was a nice discovery. I'm glad you reached out.
Love it. So for people who are watching either Instagram Live or on YouTube, we'll put some links down below. Where do you want them to go next? What's the next step to learn more about Judge Lynn and the awesome projects you have going on?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Real Judge Lynn and Twitter at Real Judge Lynn. My Facebook page is Real Judge Lynn, and I have a website, judgelynn.com, and on YouTube, Divorce Court has a lot of years of divorce court shows, and and then my books are available, from the one about my mother for emotional support, to one about marriage, to one about being a young woman and how to manage that more effectively. So there are a lot of different avenues you can reach me.
Cool. And guys, bloom365.org is the organization she set up, the nonprofit to help end domestic violence. Judge Lynn, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Evan. It was really a pleasure.
It's all mine. Much love. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.